Back to the marketing mindset. I'm Joe Kaufman, CEO of Agency Sparks. And this week we're going to talk about something that we've been discussing around the office here, which is about copyright rules. And before we get into it, I want to just quickly say that the marketing mindset, we film a new one every week. Our goal is to cover topics that we think might be interesting to you. Past topics have ranged from storytelling about your brand to tips on being more creative, being more simplistic with your message, using empathy in marketing, building great teams and relationships with clients, to advice on social platforms and budgets. We actually did a budgeting template that you should check out if you get a chance, if you're thinking about 2018 and budgeting. So you can see past marketing mindsets by going to agencysparks.com/marketing mindset. And also, if you go to our blog archives section of our site, you can see what we've written that's usually resulted in one of these marketing mindsets. So anyway, invite you to go check that out on agencysparks.com. But getting to the topic for today, copyright rules is what we wanted to discuss. And this topic came up for us because I received a letter in the mail from Getty Images. Actually, I've got the letter here that Getty sent. And basically what the letter says is that we used an image on one of our blog posts that was owned by Getty. And they were essentially demanding that we pay for that image, the use of that image, because they pay photographers to take photos that become stock imagery for Getty, and we used it without their permission, and they wanted us to pay for it. And they even added a nice handy little catalog image here, as well as a image of our blog post that actually had the image in it. And so one thing to note when we cover all the topics today, we're not law attorneys. We can't provide legal advice. We aren't trying to provide any legal advice, but we want to just make you aware of some of the issues that people are running into with utilizing copyrighted imagery, video, etc. So we thought it would be a good conversation to begin, and topic for us to begin for conversation. Anyway, let's see. So there are a lot of different types of imagery that are used that are repurposed by companies, including GIFs and videos and images, and they're often shared to kind of influence marketing content and campaigns. And the benefits of these tools can be really significant to marketers, but the rules for an individual are a little different than the rules for business. So we're going to cover some of those today. And pardon me, I don't have my clicker today, so I'm going to be clicking some notes that I have. But the three things that you should think about if you would like to be aware of the issues that can come up with copyright rules: read, ask, and familiarize. A basic guide to kind of avoiding or breaking copyright laws are to read the terms and conditions of the social media platforms that you use. Just be aware of what their rules are. And I know that there's some resources on the web of where people have sort of summarized what the main rules are within those terms and conditions. The second is ask for permission for the actual creator of content. And I would recommend doing that via email so that you actually have documentation if they do give you permission. And then the last thing is just making sure to familiarize yourself with the basic copyright laws. So just going into the basic copyright laws, again, not attorneys here, but just trying to bring up some of the ideas and begin the conversation. Copyright is an automatic designation that's given to fixed forms of creative work. So creative work can include literary works or performances or visual arts or digital content or movies or images. Legally, it's not a big deal to use the trademark symbol or the copyright symbol. That's not crucial anymore, but it's not okay and it's not permitted to use somebody else's work, particularly on the internet, whether that be an image or blog or video, without some explicit permission from them. And then the other thing is content creators can actually register their work with the U.S. Copyright Office within 90 days of a publication in order to be able to defend those copyright infringements that might come up down the road. So So we'll talk for a second about fair use. Fair use can be a little bit murky and it is open to some interpretation, but the media can be shared or repurposed for commentary, including satire and parody. You'll often see on comedy shows like Saturday Night Live where they'll actually parody a piece of video or a photo or image or things like that. But it can also be used for criticism or reporting or for teaching. Creating a derivative of the original content is also acceptable as long as it's not, the purpose of it is not to generate revenue or to compete with the original. So again, that can be a little bit murky, but we'll go into a little more detail. Factors where fair use are permissible. There's a organization called the Legal Information Institute that sort of said, here are the ways that fair use can be permissible. Number one is the purpose and character of the use, including whether it's used for commercial nature or is for nonprofit or educational purposes. So if it's there to make you money for a commercial nature, it's usually frowned upon as fair use. The second is what's the purpose or the intent of the copyrighted work. The third is what's the amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. And then the last is what is the effect of the use upon the potential market for the value of the copyrighted work. So what about stock images, memes, and GIFs? Finding a photo on Google or another social site doesn't make the image usable for public domain. There's actually a really great resource that we wrote about in the Marketer's Toolbox called TinEye. Tineye. And if you go to tineye.com, you can place an image in there and it will trace back the image to the original source. And that way you could potentially use the original source image or get permission from them. Also, always know that the licensing guidelines and if it's pictured for personal or commercial use. And then there are a lot of free stock photo sites like Unsplash or Pixels or Libre Stock, and there are a bunch of others. The other thing is you can actually pay a service like Getty Images or Adobe Stock or a couple of others to utilize their images in any way you would like. You're buying a right to license that image and use it how you'd like. The other thing is memes. Let's talk for a minute about memes in marketing. They're super popular, and the idea is it's a picture or a photo or audio or quote or video that's shared across the internet. And when they're used commercially for marketing, many memes may actually violate intellectual property law. And when a marketer uses a meme and it's not the actual copyright owner, it has to be for fair use. So we talked a little bit about fair use. Marketer creating or sharing the meme can't make direct or indirect revenue from that use. Also, the marketer must not copy the original piece in its entirety. And then the created or shared meme can't harm the original brand or copyright holder. So you could argue that memes have different purpose or satirical message compared to the original, but to avoid potential legal concerns, it's important to make sure that the memes are non-commercial. Even though licensing images may create a meme, or licensed images may not seem as appealing, you can definitely make sure you don't run into any legal concerns or issues if you're just using original content. And then GIFs. GIF is basically portrays a specific emotion that relates to a customer, so it can be tempting to use them because they're pretty eye-catching. But GIFs may be considered fair use because they provide commentary or criticism or parody. Watching a GIF does not undermine the value or the marketing of the original piece, making it transformative. So for example, you could not make a GIF that included the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. You could pull one little clip out from that. One other thing is that there's a Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which basically says that social networks are protected from infringement as long as they have a system to report and remove unlicensed content. So you'll notice that Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all of the major social properties have a way that you can report a piece of content that's not owned by the the person that's putting it there. to be safe, not posting GIFs for commercial use always helps. It always helps if you can get written permission from the copyright holder, or if it's, you know, a person, a celebrity or something like that, if you can get permission from them, that's ideal. Um, and also, it's important to link to the parent site. So if the Atlanta Hawks publish a piece of content on their site with some of their players and you get permission from them, it'd be better to link to their actual site than just republish it as if it were your own. And then, so just in closing, I don't know if we cleared anything up for you. There's definitely a lot of murky water when it comes to copyright infringement. I would just say just to use caution and being precise with what you use and what you don't use is really important. At the end of the day, a few more impressions for a piece of content do not outweigh the legal challenges that you could run into if you leverage somebody else's content. And you can avoid making mistakes by doing research and asking for permission before you post things. So just, again, we do these marketing mindsets every week. Please let us know if there's anything that we missed that you think we should cover. Our goal is to be useful for marketers and help provide them as resources that answer questions. Again, you can read the topics that we're covering at agencysparks.com/blog archives. And also you can see past episodes of the Marketing Mindset by going to agencysparks.com/marketing mindset. So thanks again for coming back and look forward to seeing you next week.